Good evening, Marina. Hello, Joanne. Hi, Marna. Can you guys just let me know if you can hear me? Hi, Cherise. Hallo, Eni. Hallo, Albert. Gaan met jou. Hallo, Ria. Hi, Steve. Hallo, Reinhard. Hi, Charles. Gaan met jou. Hallo, Annemarie. Kan julle my hoor? Kan iemand net vir my daar 'n thumbs up gee asseblief? Hi, Garth. I'm glad to have you on this live, Garth. Please remember to sign in a little bit later so that you can tell us what you've so that you can give us some feedback on the stuff that you researched, if you don't mind. Hi, Cheryl. Thanks, Marna. Hi, Hillary. Hello, Rina. Thanks, Debbie. Hi, Colleen. Hi, Patricia. Hello, Rashi. It's nice to see you as well. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, Kevin. Hi, Pat. Thanks, Tians. Guys, I'm just gonna wait 5 minutes or so before I start. So we've got a few special guests tonight, as you all saw on the banner that I shared on Facebook. Neil will be joining us shortly, and then Shafiek, and then obviously Ian Cameron is also joining us tonight. So tonight's going to be a very interesting discussion. I think it's one that's long overdue. We are dealing with a very sensitive and a very, very serious subject tonight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this live, and I'm looking forward to hear what the guys have to say. Obviously, you guys know that Neil, Shafiek, and Ian, they all come from a security background. So yeah, there's I can't think of three people that are more competent to speak on this subject than the three of them. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So I'm just going to give it another couple of minutes, and then we'll start. I just want to remind everybody that this is an interactive live, so you guys are welcome to join. You guys are welcome to share your thoughts as well and to add your 2 cents. If you look at the bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a green icon that you can press that will send me a request to join the live, and then I can sign you in. Hi, Dwayne. Long time no here, Dwayne. It's nice to see you on this live as well. Guys, yeah, so without further ado, let me start. Obviously, tonight we are going to be talking about crime, safety and security. We're going to be discussing community reaction units or community policing or whatever you want to call it. As you all know, Neil and Shafiek have been involved in the CRU units for the last year. The CRU units are community reaction units that did a lot of great work in areas such as Luandle and Mitchell's Plain. And, you know, they used to go out every weekend, and, you know, through their efforts, I think they brought the crime levels, especially in a place like Luandle, they brought the crime levels down in that area quite significantly. So it shows that community policing or these community reactions work. Just to share some interesting stats with you, I read today on there's an article that was written in the Daily Mail or the Daily Maverick, dated the 3rd of June 2022, that says that basically South Africa had 6,083 murders between January and March of this year. And compared to last year, same time, January to March, it's a 22% increase. So the murder rate has gone up by 22% from January to March compared to January-March 2021. That's scary. But the even scarier part is that the murder of children have gone up by 37% and the murder of women have gone up by 70%. So that's quite alarming. And then in another report that I saw on worldpopulationreview.com, South Africa is currently listed as the country with the third highest crime rate in the world. So we are just behind Venezuela and Papua New Guinea. So that means South Africa has got a higher crime rate than countries like Afghanistan, Palestine, Sierra Leone, Liberia. And I mean, these are countries that have been plagued by genocides and terrorism in the past. I mean, most of these countries have been at civil war with one another for many, many years. And South Africa's actually got a higher crime rate than all of those that I just mentioned. Third highest crime rate in the world, highest crime rate in Africa. That is quite scary. That is quite scary. And if you look at the percentages compared to last year, a 22% increase, that means that something is not working. Something definitely is not working. We're going to try to find out tonight what that is. Is it police or organizations not doing their work? Is it are the police just outnumbered? Is it an economic issue? Is there a problem with our justice system? Something has to be wrong, and we need to find out what that is and what we can do about it, because at the rate that crime is increasing at the moment, South Africa is turning into a war zone. So I think crime has been an issue that the UIM has been very outspoken about in the last couple of months. I think this is probably our strongest policies are written on that subject. If there is one problem or one issue that we would want to resolve in South Africa, it's the issue of crime. I think that's probably the most significant and the most serious problem facing our country at the moment is the crime that's completely and utterly out of control. You know what? It's one thing to be without electricity. It's one thing to, drive on a road that's full of potholes. It's one thing not to have running water. Those are serious issues, but it's a totally different thing to fear for your life every single day and to live in fear. And that's wrong. That's wrong, and that's something that we need to rectify, or we need to find out what the problem is and address it. So hopefully tonight, amongst all the people that are going to be joining this live and discussing this topic, hopefully we can come up with some solutions or some plans at least, or and just to get a little bit more insight into these topics that I have listed, obviously for that we're going to speak about tonight. So I'm not going to waste any more time. I see I've already got a few requests here. Guys, if you don't mind, I see there's a whole lot of you that have asked to join the live. I'm just going to give Neil the first opportunity to speak. I'm obviously going to ask Neil to update us on his condition and his health, just to give us an health update. And then hopefully Ian will join us as well at about 8:20, and Shafiek as well. And then I'm going to just, let the the four of us have a quick debate and discuss a few issues, and then I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to sign in and to share your thoughts and views as well. So just hang in there and just be patient, and let's just give the three gentlemen a chance that have been, that are joining us tonight, and then I will obviously give you guys an opportunity as well. I'm just trying to sign Neil in. Hi, Neil.
Hi, Jacques. How are you doing? And very, very good evening to every UIM supporter and every citizen, every patriot of the Republic of South Africa. Very good evening. And to you. It's good om jou te sien.
It's even better to see you. You are looking healthy. You are looking strong. And it's good to have you back. Can you please just give us a quick health update before we get stuck into the topic of the evening? Because I'm sure everybody's dying to find out how you are.
Yeah, Jacques, what a journey. 6 months after finding out that I had colon cancer. the 3 months spent on chemo and radiation, I think that everybody knows. And then 3 months of hell. You know, I've had 90 days now in and out of hospital. 90 days, and I've been cut open 4 times. In ICU, of the 90 days, I spent about 82 days in ICU. But there is good news, because in all of this time, God was on duty. So dit is baie goed om te sê dat in hierdie lang 3 maande, van amper 80 dae in ICU, 4 keer onder die lem, dat ek, as ek wou opgee, die Here se hand uitgekom het en my gevat het. En so good news, Jacques, cancer free. Doctor report, MR, CT scan, all cancer dead. Alles weg. That's to God. So in the process though, that in die proses wat ek moes deurgaan met al die terugslag, die infeksies, die absesse en sovoorts wat my terughou het ons nou kankervry geraak. En die kolon is skoongemaak, daar's nie meer kanker nie. En Jacques, vir elke een daar buite wat by my gestaan het, wat vir my gebid het, die bid daar, the prayer days that was held for me, it did not go unanswered. And about a week ago, I had to go through my last test, because I carry, for those that know, I carry a bag outside my body. It's called a stoma. But in my case, I have an ileonoscopy. And in this ileonoscopy, it is, thank God, temporary, because they had to put in the ileonoscopy so that my colon can heal. And we were waiting 3 months for that ring to heal, and for about 2.5 months it didn't want to. It kept a gap, and I could not have this, can I call it, temporary bag reversed. And on Monday I went to the doctor. We did a colonoscopy, which for everybody that knows is a camera that goes down or up, and it's healed. Hy's toe. Ek praat nou van die colon, né? So, Jacques, the colon is closed, and next week, Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock on the 3rd of August, I'm going in for the full reversal of my colon, and then I'm okay. I'm back. It will take another, I think, week or 2 after that just to get systems going, and then I want to guarantee South Africa. I've cut my hair, not that there was much to cut. Ek het my baard getrim. I am animalistic. 6 months of having to sit at home every day in a bed. I have thought, I have processed, I have intelligentsified the mission. I've had discussions with my God. I am overloaded. I am stretched past capacity to get into this destruction of the ANC, the EFF, the South African Communist Party, COSATU, and any member that declares himself an enemy of the people. I am ready to destroy you. Ek kom vir julle, julle gaan bars. Because if you think I can make kak in council, KK, dan moet jy nou sien wat ek kan doen in hierdie land, as ek nou regtig moedig is. And I've had 3 months of absolute rest, of pain, of watching Twitter and the news of how our citizens are being slaughtered. Today again, in Mpangeni, today again, 5 got shot dead by just walking into a mall and taking what they want. The poor security guard, the only defense is while they're driving away, he took a trolley and threw it through the back window of the robber's car. We are in a total state of destruction. We are in anarchy. 8 to 12 to 20 people in taverns being slaughtered. children drinking poison, the farm murders not stopping yet silent. Dis tyd, Jacques. And I'm sorry, all the specialists will agree. If you don't agree today that we are a state of domestic war, ons is in domestic oorlog, dan is jy betaal deur die ANC, jy's naïef of jy's bloody blind of net plain and simple stupid. We lose more people in a month than what die in Ukraine. They are using not pistols and shotguns to now perpetrate crime in the Republic. They're using weapons of war. They're using AKs and R4s and 5s that they steal or get from government. From people in government. They sell it to them. Police. Defense force members. Hulle kan maar nou, bring it. We've got the evidence. But when you charge them, or try to charge them, it's a cabal. And for those police that are left, for those soldiers that are left, for those government officials that are left, that put up their hands and their hands are clean, they're drowning, Jacques. They have no more voice. So at a station of 20, 90 police officers, 35 or 40 of them, they are fighting the fight, but they give up. So tonight we are going to talk about the failure of justice, the failure of the judiciary, the failure of the police, the absolute moron of a tafeltjie, stoeltjie, bekkie, bloody tsele, the fashionado, the hat fashionado, who is an absolute fraud. I'm thinking of all the other intellectual words that I could connect to that imbecile without being put for criminal injuria. Maar die Here alleen weet vanaand, daar's nie meer beter woorde vir so 'n idioot nie. Ek dink sy dingetjie is so. En ek daag hom om my nou aan te kla van laster. Becky, you've got so. Now what you've got to do is go to court and take it out. To prove. Nou ek weet nie of daar 'n wêreldstandaard is nie, Jacques, waarby hy dit gaan meet nie. But you're a very small man, Mr. Taylor. So ek het baie nog goed. Ek het 'n godsbelofte gemaak, né? Onthou jy? Ek was nie onder narkose nie, ek was nie siek nie. Ek het gesê ek gaan hom remove. We're going to remove this man. So Jacques, ek is terug. Ek kom terug. Jy kan my oë sien. Die leeu is hier. Die beer is hier. Ek moet nou net sakkies en snytjies en goed uit my uitkry. Maar die land en die volk in hierdie land het besluit genoeg is genoeg. Hulle wag vir 'n leier. Hierdie land en hierdie volk het genoeg gehad, hulle is op hulle knieë. Ons kinders en ons vrouens word gemoor. Ons land, ons volk, en ek praat van volkere, het genoeg gehad. Hulle wag vir 'n bloody leier. 'n leier wat nie vrees nie. Jacques, ek is op daai tafel, soos jy weet. Ek is 2 keer dood op daai tafel, né? In 3 maande. 2 keer net so, dood. Ek het kanker gekry, doodvonnis, ek het beklei. Jy skrik my nie. Want voor God se woord, ek het nou alles deurgegaan. Ek is nou deur alles. Ek skrik nie vir jou nie. Because there's a massive piece in the Bible, Jacques, that says, no weapon made by man will prosper against me. And it hasn't. Satan val ons aan, man. Hy het my aangeval, hy het my vriende aangeval, hy het ons aangeval. Daar's nog agente, Jacques, wat ons nog steeds aanval. Satans, man. Maar kinders van God staan nie terug nie, al lê hulle op 'n bed en huil. Jy kan sien gryser, kwaier, wyser. So ek sien uit, I look forward to speak to Shafiek, one of our executive members, Shafiek, a guy that worked in the trenches with police, with me in defense, with me in task force that we created in CRU. Shafiek, an unbelievable community leader and a security expert. And what can I say about Ian Cameron? Ian, the wrong thing about Ian Cameron, it needed him to appear on a piece of TV where he was taking on a man. And what people never realized is there was a man before Ian Cameron Bekitele. Ian has been doing unbelievable, unrecognized community service in the Western Cape. So Ian Cameron didn't just come up one day because he stood up on TV and he actually spoke the truth. He's been a community leader in a very long time. So it's going to be an honor having a guy like that that's actually walked the beat, put his feet into the water, walk those cold trench days in Khayelitsha, Kayamandi, Langa. So yeah, ek het nou genoeg gepraat, dis ons drie. Let's get the show on the road. And if anybody's out there, please do me a favor, as jy nou daar is, share this. Kyk net onder, druk jou knoppies, share this to many people, because this is going to be an hour where I'm going to expose a lot of stuff. We're going to answer a lot of questions, but we don't want to hear about blah, blah, blah. Ons wil regtig hierdie uur of so, Jacques, gebruik om die waarheid te praat. So, almal van julle, we are on 362 people. Come now. Let's share this. Let's get it out there so that we can again hit 1,000.
Neil, just a personal question from my side. This is something that I've been thinking about for the last week, and it's something that, it's something that actually caught my attention, and I just want to hear what your opinion is on that before I sign Ian in. I'm just waiting for him to send a request. It seems that the type of murders that are being committed has changed somewhat, because, you know, it's all of a sudden we've got mass shootings in South Africa. Yeah. We've never had mass shootings in South Africa. We've had a lot of farm murders, and we've had a lot of burglaries, and you know, people, it's been going on for the last two decades. I mean, crime has just been escalating and going through the roof, and we've always had a high murder rate, especially in the last 20 years. But the last 3 weeks, there's been a huge increase in mass shootings. I'm thinking about the tavern shootings. I'm thinking about those 7 people that were killed on that farm in Kestel. Do you think this is random, or do you think there's a motive or an agenda behind it?
No, it's planned. 5 to 6 people getting out of vehicles with AK-47s and shooting 20 people. That's not random. These are orchestrated. These are people that are in gangs. These are people that are there to terrorize. These are people that are organized. And let me quickly tell you, don't underestimate them. They might be an unorganized, if I make myself correct, unorganized cabal. But when you put your finger on the trigger of an AK-47 that carries a minimum of 30 rounds, and you just put automatic, what miss you? You don't need to be a highly skilled trained soldier to fire a weapon. Even a child of 11 can pull a trigger. What is concerning is that the callousness. So I'm going to give you a theory. If you take a glass jar, Jacques, and you put a bunch of red ants in the jar, and the same equivalent amount of black ants in the jar, and you put the jar down, they don't kill each other. They walk on. If you pick up that jar and you shake it, they'll start killing each other. Now, you know what our country is doing? Our country is looking at the red ant and the black ant killing each other. They're not looking at who's picked up the jar and who's shaking it. Ons vergeet die man wat die blikkies kyk. So what we're watching is we are watching people being murdered. We are watching robberies. We are watching hijackings. We are just seeing an escalation that you have never recognized in this country. Why? Because certain people are shaking the jar. And no one dares in this country to open their mouth and say, "Maar as hy." Want hulle is te bang. Hulle is te bang dat hulle gaan geskiet word. Life is no more worth. You have seen video on video of people sitting in a restaurant, someone walking up to them and shooting them. Video on video of people sitting in a car, 5 guys walk up to the car, shoot them, walk away. Life is no more in this country. It's worth nothing. It's not even worth a rand. So
Neil,
why?
sorry to stop you there. I'm seeing that Ian is trying to connect, but he can't find the green button. So all he needs to do is just quickly update his Facebook app. Just quickly update it just go to the Play Store, update the app, and I think you should see the green button then after it's been updated. I had the same problem last week. Sorry, Neil, please continue.
Yeah, so Jacques, plain and simply, if there's no policing, if there's no law and order, if there's no zero tolerance, there's crime. And the less control, the less there is of control, the more crime. I mean, that's it.
And the funny thing is, in the tavern shootings and that mass shooting in Kestel, it seems that nothing was stolen. There was no robbery. They just literally went in and they killed people.
Yeah, and that's the callousness, that's the brutality. Dit is die absolute hartloosheid van mense wat besluit, hulle gaan nou uit op 'n jol. Vir party mense gaan hulle drag racing en vir party mense skiet hulle 16 mense dood by 'n tavern. En people asked me about farm murders. In many cases, I'm very sorry that I put connotations to it because it made it irrelevant. It politicized the tragedy. And people then ask me, even people from overseas say to me, but Neil, what is the problem between a murder and a farm murder? And I said three things. One, they're not killing just a person, they're killing food. Two, they're taking away huge opportunities for industry. And three, and here's the most important, Jacques, hier's die belangrikste. Die manier hoe hulle mense op plase moor. Nie die moord nie, die brutaliteit, die torture, die verwoesting. Dit maak 'n mens opstaan en sê, dis hoekom daar verskil is tussen die twee. Dit lyk my dit is 'n opsetlike, brutale ding op 'n plaas. En dit maak dit vir ons en vir my absolute scenario waar politiek moet inkom. Dis rassemoord. En die probleem is, die president het dit deny. Laas jaar het in Geneva, in Davos, het ons president gesê, daar's nie plaasmoorde in hierdie land. Now that's treason. Hy kan nie aangekla word nie, want hy gaan nie aankla nie. Hy word eers aangekla vir geld aan die matras nie. En ons gaan daar ook praat vandag. So Jacques, yeah, that's it. That's your biggest problem.
So we've got all these murders. We've got this crime rate that's out of control. It's a fact. I mean, it's happening every single day. Why are we having problems controlling it or fighting it? Why is it not working? Why is it increasing every year? Because obviously, I hear what you're saying. Somebody is definitely shaking the jaw, but it's happening. Okay, so it's happening now. People are getting killed. People are getting raped, murdered. Why can't we control it? Why can't we fight it? Where's the problem?
Jacques, we've got to make and the decision that this country has to come, and as the UIM, we've made that decision. We cannot depend on the state anymore. We cannot depend on the SA Police Service to react and protect us. We can't wait for the president every second morning to wake up and to issue an order because he's the only one that can deploy the defense force in a domestic situation. And when they are deployed, wat gaan hulle nou eintlik doen? As 'n ou nou byvoorbeeld 'n kar stuur met 'n G6 kanon skiet hulle. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, we're not stupid. So you say in this problem, we kind of know who's shaking the jaw. I mean, how many times must the Zondo Commission, Jacques, tell us who shook the jaw? I'm asking, you're a man of the judiciary. You studied law, and congratulations on passing your final exam.
Thank you.
And hopefully graduating in October. Then you're a fully fledged person of attorney, but you've studied law. Jacques, why are we not incarcerating them? Hoekom is hulle nie bly die tronk nie? We spent 1.3 billion rand 5 to 6 years, hundreds of names of the guilty, and they're not in jail, Jacques. So forget about the crime on the street. We can't even lock up a DG. We can't even lock up an ex-minister. How are you going to find out, how do we lock up the man with a jar? I say. And we do nothing. So Jacques, it's time.
Ja.
Dis tyd. Nou vra die mense tyd vir wat? Dis tyd dat jy jou eie burgerlike beskerming in jou hande vat. Klaar. If they're not going to protect us, we must protect ourselves. Klaar, self-defense units. We have to start. Ek is baie jammer. Dis tyd dat ons die commando stelsel terugbring. It's time that we bring the commando system back. It's time that we bring every single commando system that was wrecked, that was ruined, that was shut. Now that was done because the ANC government was scared of having armed white people in this country in every town. Daar's hy. Plain and simple waarheid. Stry met my, kom. Maar die commando-systeem het gewerk. Van die commando-systeem het 'n oproep vrywillige aksie gehad in elke dorp in Kuruman. Was daar 'n commando. So ek sê, as die staat nie wil nie, dan moet die Republiek van Suid-Afrika se patriotte bymekaar kom in elke dorp. Ek roep hulle op. Nou sê die mense, ja, wie die hel is die man om ons op te roep? Gerard, het jy nou die wafel gehoor? Dis nou die ou wat nou donders wil dink, hy is die man met die brein pak, de beer. Hy roep nou alweer bataljonne op. Nee man, in godsnaam. I'll join. Daar's die boerelegioen met generaal van Sail. Generaal van Sail, hulle probeer nou al vir die afgelope 15 jaar, probeer hulle die mense bymekaar kry om hulle op te lei, om hulle reg te maak, nie vir die D-dag nie, maar om jouself te kan beskerm. Hy kry, hoekom is daar nie in elke liewe dorp, Jacques, 'n boerelegioen? Vergeet van boere. Val die woord boere weg, want daar gaan ons, yes, you say it's only for the whites. It's a boerelegion. Praat nie daarvan die boys. Ek praat van mens. Kan jy imagine as elke dorp 50 manne het? En om polities korrek te wees, 50 vrouens. Can you imagine if every single town in the Republic of South Africa had a CRU unit of 50 people? CRU, self-defense unit, community react, whatever you want to call it, 50 guys carrying guns. Daar's hy. Mense wil mos sê ek moet dit sê. Ek het dit nou net gesê. In elke dorp moet daar 50 manne wees met guns. Guns, handgranate, skokgranate, pampoen, koekie, goeters, man. Kalms op jou plak met pennetjies en drilletjies en slaan goeters en ja. Because that's how you treat people that attack you. That's how you treat people that come into your house and shoot people in the back. Is you don't ask them to surrender, you make them surrender. Now, when I was running CRU for 2 years, and some people call it fake, and jy gaat op jou hel kry. But 60 men and women, every weekend, Friday, Saturday, for more than 83 weekends, went out with our own trucks, our own bakkies, our own combis, our own guns, our own anti-skobbejak goeders. En ons het julle deure afgetrap. Where police feared to go, Shafiek inshallah, CRU went. Toe 'n ou hierso in Luanle, 'n kind 3 keer skiet. Toe sê ons vir die polisie, right, CRU is hierso, middag. Toe sê ons, kom ons vat die ou. Toe sê die ou, yes, but he's in there and he's got a gun. No. He's got a gun. Yes. Ek sê, maar nou moer hom. Shafiek sal weet, hy sê nie, hulle kan nie daar gaan. Ek sê, dan gaan ons in. Jacques, ons is deur die hek, ons is deur die trelliedor, ons is deur die voordeur, ons het hom. En toe sê ons vir hom, kniel. Want jy gaan nou tronk toe of jy gaan hemel toe, bro. Daar's nou nie keuses nie, maar as jy daai revolver op ons trek, dan skiet ons die lewende gemors uit jou uit. Ons mag. Niks wat ek nou gesê het nie, Jacques. Nothing I have just said and you can legally now say to me yes or no. Nothing I just told you is illegal. You have the right in this country to bear a licensed firearm. Once this government has issued you with a license in 19 years, 13 days, 3 hours and 4 seconds. Maar as jy 'n wapenlisensie in hierdie land het, Shafiek, you may bear and carry that arm. Number 2, there is the law. Dis die strafproseswet. Dink ek is nie seker nie, is of artikel 48 of artikel, I think it's 49. Article 49, which tells you, shoot, don't shoot. Van die strafproseswet. Artikel 49 sê vir jou wanneer jy 'n ou kan jy looi, of wanneer jy nie mag nie. Nou, as 'n oue vuurwapen op bytrek, ek looi vir jou. So, 'n siviele mens mag in die eerste plek homself verdedig. Nommer 2, mag 'n vuurwapen dra as hy gelisensieerd is. En nommer 3, as sy lewe in gevaar is, mag hy homself verdedig. And here's the nice one. As die persoon in hierdie land in jou presence, terwyl jy daar staan, as hy 'n kriminele oortreding doen, wat 'n skedule 1 oortreding is. Met ander woorde, verkrachting, roof, poging tot moord en sovoorts. As hy dit doen terwyl hy daar so is, terwyl jy daar is, dan kan jy hom arresteer. En as jy hom verset teen arrestasie, dan kan jy maar ingaan met soos jy moet. So I'm not talking about revolution. I'm not talking, Shafiek, about bringing back people that are undisciplined, people that are vigilantes. No, sir. I am talking about people in this country that are capable, healthy, that can stand the stand of watch, that can go out, form groups, vergeet maar van jou braai elke Vrydag, klim in julle karre en ry 30 saam. That's my solution. Citizenry. Absolute citizen, community safety and self-defense. Assalamu alaikum, Shafiek.
Alaikum salam, Neil. Like you were saying now with the firearms.
Shafiek, sorry to interrupt you. I just want to say, Ian has been trying to sign in for the last 10 minutes now. He's already sent in 5 or 6 requests. I have tried to accept him, but every time it says connection failed. So, Ian, I'm very sorry. I don't know what's happening on your side. I don't know if you have poor signal, but your requests are coming through. I'm trying to connect you, but every time it fails, and it just says connection failed. So I don't know if you want to log out and log back in, but please keep trying because we would like to hear from you as well. So I am receiving your requests, but I'm just having difficulty to connect you. Sorry, Shafiek, and then I just want to welcome you as well. Just tell the people out there that you are also a member of our working committee. You've been with the party since the beginning. You and Neil used to work together and over weekends. You were a part of the CRU units as well. So I just want to welcome you as well. So please carry on. Yeah, and give us your take on the topics that we are discussing tonight.
Oh, Jacques. Welcome back, Neil. It's been a long time. I can't wait to hit the road with you again. One thing is, man, our police system really collapsed. We have more security companies out there that's willing to assist. But with the police, SAPS and CIRA, the security regulator, they keep on putting out notices that you as a security officer cannot partake in police duties. Why not open the breach? Let us go work together hand in hand. Because the police, if you take the whole security industry together, it's bigger than the police and the army. So why not make use of us that are volunteering our services? Because, for example, I did work with, we have this problem with ambulances getting robbed. Paramedics getting robbed at night in certain areas, Kalicha, Mitchell's Plain, your retreats, your Manenbergs. I volunteer my service. But when I go to a police station, I'm not allowed to do it because I'm not a police officer. But I have the capabilities, the same training, even some better than some of the police officers that I can see on the road that I've got. Plus, I've got some training from Neil and them with the HU and with different people. So I believe, and I really feel strongly that we need to break that barrier between the two sectors and amalgamate them, because we have the city, law enforcement, then we have SAPs in every area that are hotspots and red zones. But crime continues increasing. There's basically no need for them. Because I'm in Kalicha, in all those areas on a daily basis, and I see what happens. We look at that mass killings, for example, in Kalicha that happened. The first was 6, then it was 3. It's all over the news. But what's happening? You don't see the police visibility in Kalicha. So it's a sad reality, man, that we are losing the SAPS, law enforcement. They're all losing the plot. And I blame our police minister for not increasing visibility, getting more police staff on board, because I know a lot of people did these assessments now this year alone, beginning of the year. They are still waiting on the results to come out. So now you can't take 6 months, man, to recruit new police officers, because every day somebody's retiring and that spot is not getting full. So, we really need to buckle up. So I say, you know what, if we should ever win this election 2024, we've got to really look at upping the game when it comes to the safety and security of our citizens in the country. Because lawlessness is one thing there's no control over it. We have murders. How many murders a day? I've got threatened in my personal capacity by syndicates for working in certain places. What do? I have to go back. I just have to put more firepower in and carry on my work, because that's my livelihood. And at the same time, look after people that's in need while I'm on duty with my own personal things, those that surround me. Because the law allows me to use my personal firearm also to protect the next person whose life is in danger. So that is a lot of things, man. We need to get more men out there to stand up with us. Like me and Neil met. One coincidence, we met again. And we joined up forces with CRU, and I brought my company staff on board as well. And we made this nice big party of men that went out every weekend. And this weekend coming now, I'm again on the road. My family don't see me weekends because I'm patrolling. I'm married, have kids, but I don't see me on a weekend. And now my son, my daughter, in our bulletproof vest, in our van, and we're gone. So we need more of that on the road so we can reduce the crime. I moved out of an area, Mitchell's Bay now, to a new area that's got the same problem. It's got a bigger problem with hijacking. I'm here now 2 months in this area. There was 2 hijackings already, 2 roads away from me. So, we're safe.
I want to ask a question. I mean, we will never say that the police are incompetent, because there are great police officers out there. There are police officers out there that do a brilliant job. Do you think there's just too few of them, or are the police in general just outnumbered, or is it incompetence? Why are they struggling? Why are they struggling to, or do you just think it's a case of them being outnumbered?
They are outnumbered. They are really outnumbered, because you look at police stations. If you go at any police station, you can say there's 10 vans there, but there's only 2 vans available, because there's apparently no finances to fix those others. So you have less police staff on the roads. If you go into an area 4 policemen and there's a gang there, what's 4 going to do against a gang? They're going to be overpowered. That's why the gangs are running havoc on our streets. So
what's happening in government is actually filtered down to our police as well, because that's where all the problems start. It's a huge ripple effect. All the theft and corruption has had such a huge impact on everything in this country, including the police. Am I correct in saying that?
You're 100% correct. Because you know what, I'm there weekends with SAPs. I go out. We are the guys that the group that's together are more civilians than what the police is. There's like 4 police officers with us, and we are like 12 to 16 civilians giving the police backup. So if more people can join the police stations, and help out on a volunteer basis, we can win it. we won't be able to stop it at all, but we can slow the crime rate down, bring it down to a single digit instead of double digits now that we're sitting in.
Neil, would you like to comment on what Shafiek just said, and maybe just speak about these community units a bit more in detail that Shafiek just mentioned?
Yeah, I think, Jacques, you must also give yourself a bit of an accolade. You went with us one night. Now, I heard comments today from a certain person that what we did was fake and what we did was not real, and the nights that we went out was all set up and all that kind of stuff. Now, I want to know, before I go on, Jacques, when you joined us in Mitchell's Plain, when we were going out as a unit with SAPS, which was their strike unit, which is their CPU, and you went out with us, we were a team of about 30. Do you think that was fake?
Well, within 15 minutes of entering that one area we were shot at, and eventually 30 minutes later, we were called out to a crime scene where a young boy had been shot in the head, and I saw that. I mean, I saw his body lying there on the sidewalk, so definitely not fake.
Not costume or things like that, eh?
No,
you see,
definitely not.
This is the filth that people spread. This is the people that sit at home and have a lot to say on Facebook. They have a lot to say on social media. But when you ask them to please donate, when you ask them, you don't have to come out like with us with bulletproofs, but will you give us some money for petrol? They are the first people that at the end of the day become very silent. Now, you know what I found out being and I want to welcome Ian. Ian, thank God you are here.
Hi, Ian.
Hello, Yellow. How's it?
It's nice
Can you hear
to have you
eventually go back to my seat and give back to Jacques just to welcome Ian, and then I'll finish my comment.
Yeah, guys, thank you. I just want to welcome Ian. Ian, thanks for joining us tonight. I know you're a busy man. You've been in the news and on social media, plastered all over the place in the last couple of weeks. So you're a hot topic of discussion currently on social media. So I thought it would be, well, actually, I want to thank Melissa, because Melissa reached out to you. And, I think the topics that we are discussing tonight and dealing with, you are the right person to add your views and comments as well to this discussion. So thank you for joining. We appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Carry on, Neil.
Jacques, I'm older. I've become an old man. I looked at our book that we released 2 years ago about our shenanigans when we were police agents and when we were MK agents and when I was still a spy. And I look back at those days being with Mandela. And I look back today. I'm 53. Shafiek. And I look at the days that we spent in the army, that we spent in task force, that we spent in the police, that we spent in defense. My last role being senior advisor to the Ministry of Defense and Intelligence. And I look at that and I go back. In a year of 32 years of combat, leading 4 combat missions in Africa in 4 countries of war. And I look back at my time in Sierra Leone. I look at my time in South Sudan, the DRC, and CAR. And I look at those days when we were running combat missions. I'm 53. I'm retired. And I find myself back in a war zone. I find myself in a country where we have just not declared it. I find myself in a country where for 2 years, Shafiek, me and you walked with police. We walked the beat. We saw bullet holes. Saw children. Saw mothers. Shafiek, how many times did we not recover bodies in Mitchell's Plain? Langa Nyanga Kailicha Luwanle Nomzamo, where we just stood and mothers were crying. And the weapons used were weapons used in domestic warfare. Not a 9mm, not a shotgun, but an AK-40, Kalishnikov, a R4. Waar kry hulle R4s? Where are they getting R5s? Well, they're getting it from state. They're getting it from people that sell, that are treasonous and treacherous. It's evidence out there, Ian. We don't have to surmise and hide away anymore. There are charges against police officers that sold weapons to gangsters. It's on dockets. We don't need to sit here and be liable. Before Ian joined us, I said about you, Ian, because I've known you longer than what you think. I wasn't a senior intelligence officer for 32 years for nothing. There was an Ian far before television. There was an Ian Cameron walking the beat, doing community service well before the Bekitele incident. I think they just highlighted you. And I actually said to Jacques, it's sad. It's sad that you got notoriety because of a 10-minute clip. I wish they had cameras with you tonight. I wish they had cameras with you a year, 2, 3, 4, as long as you've been doing this. I wish they had cameras with you in your vehicle. But just because you spoke the truth against a man that hates the truth, you are now notoriety. And I don't know if you know it, but you are very high notoriety. You know, your name is running very high in deep, deep places. And there I'd like to end, but start with Ian. There's 325 political parties registered in the IEC in the Republic of South Africa. 325. The United Independent Movement, for which I am the president, is the 24th largest political party in this country, in the top 30. We have council seats in 3 metros. But out of every political party that sits there, the DA, the EFF, the ANC, the cabal, the Vryheidsfront plus minus equals and subtract, all of them, not one of them have the guts to get up and declare it like it is, saying it in public space that this country has collapsed, that it has gone into anarchy, that the people that are running this country in government, even including Stulki, Tafelki, Beki, Tsele, even that man, the man of notoriety of het fashion, ek sal hom sommer wie hy, die Here behaag my, but that man was found unfit to be a national commissioner. Did we forget? Did we forget? Now, Jacques, here's the statistics. The statistics. There are 853,000 security officers in this country. I will repeat it. There are 853,000 security officers in the Republic of South Africa registered with CIRA. There's 112,000 active uniformed police officers in the Republic. There's 150,000 police officers on payroll, which of them, more than 45,000 are admin. The world statistic for police officer to public is 576 roundabout in this country. And the international statistic is 253. I'll say that again. In the international world, roughly, it's 1 police officer to 253 citizens. In South Africa, it's nearly triple the citizenry to 1 police officer. Those are 3 stats. Just 3 stats. When you ask me the question, what's wrong in this country with the police, because we've walked the beat with them, I have listened in die polisiekar, Echo Bravo 674, al daai goeters, and you talk to the constable, you talk to the sergeant, you talk to the warrant, they're tired. Sorry. They are tired. Those that are keen are outnumbered by those that are dirty. How would you feel arresting a guy Monday and Tuesday he stands in front of your van and he goes, how would you feel? So the judiciary has failed. The justice system has failed. There is no justice system. Now, here's a suggestion, want ek het nou net voor ek met Ian and Shafiek. I've now just told you what's wrong. Now, that's not the kind of politics, Ian, Shafiek, inshallah, that I preach. I preach action and solution. What's the solution? Split the ministers. No. Make the Minister of Police, the Minister of Justice, and the Minister of Correctional Services. Make it one minister. Not only are you going to save money, not only are you going to stop 58 people running around with blue lights and with guns protecting 3 individuals, but he can't hide. Because currently what Becky Tsele does is he'll say, yes, but we are arresting them. And there it stops. Very bad accent of Becky, but I couldn't get more to the word moron. But now, Becky will say, we hand them over to justice. Now you go, you ask the Minister of Justice, but Justice, why are these people not in jail? Then he'll say, yes, because the police are not investigating. So we've gone from one minister to the other one, and then you go finally to the Minister of, with the most utmost worst name for a department because it's doing exactly the opposite. Correctional Services. Correctieve dienste. I don't know what they're correcting. But then the Minister of Correctional Services will say, yes, but we only keep them. We take them and we host them. Ek nou baie gepraat, maar ek moes dit maar, sorry, I've been 3 months in hospital and ICU, so I've not had intellectual debate. I've had drips and gooders, but Jacques, that's my feeling. That's my feeling, and I think Ian will agree. I don't think I'm too far off from that. But Ian, I think let's go. I think, Jacques, you've got a good couple of questions. And by the way,
Yeah,
can you just get Ian a t-shirt, please? One asked me today, Ian Cameron joining. So finally, he's joined the UIM. I said, no, I know Ian is non-political, but we'll steal him.
Yeah, thanks for that, Neil. I think you've hit the nail on the head. What I would like to ask you, Ian, or know from you is I would like you to please just quickly tell, because we've got a lot of UIM supporters joining this live tonight, and there's a lot of people that just know you because of what they saw the other night. So I think just quickly give us a short summary of what exactly it is that you do. What your success rate has been, issues and problems that you've encountered, and yeah, because we are quite interested to hear what you have to say, and whether or not we can get involved with something like that, because I think, I don't know if you know about the CRU units that we spoke about earlier that Neil and Shafiek used to be a part of. Do you have a similar type of movement or organization? Or just quickly tell us what exactly do you do, and then also just give us your opinion on some of the topics that we have discussed. I think you've been with us since the beginning of this live, so you know what everybody said. So I would like to have your view on that as well, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think to start, to give an introduction, I have been working with community safety for the last more or less 12 years, almost 13 years. And I never joined the police, and the reason I never joined the police is because of the state that it's in. So I probably would have, but I must also say that maybe it was the right thing to do, because you can take on a few other challenges at hand as well. So I worked mainly with rural safety for almost 10 years. I worked for AfriForum. I was head of community safety there, and I had a team that specifically focused on trauma support. So not only assisting with counseling to the victims, but also preparing them for court, making sure that statements are done correctly, etc., etc. We cleaned up the scenes as well. And then we also had quite a capacity for to combat land grabs, and it included the whole legal and court process as well. Our main focus was probably rural, but obviously we had quite a few neighborhood watches across the country. I think when I left there in 2020, we had just over 150 structures in South Africa. And it was quite remarkable to see how volunteers, as you've all correctly mentioned, are so enthusiastic to help. They just need a structured environment in which to do that. Nevertheless, I left there in 2020, and I spent some time with my family for a year. I worked a little bit in the private sector, and then I started working with Action Society. It was actually still starting up at that stage. And they asked me to help with the development of a model where we can make sure that we get better convictions, or rather actually get convictions for sexual offences and gender-based violence related cases. We then developed this model and we piloted it in December of 2021. We piloted it in the Western Cape, so we've got a whole team of investigators. The majority of them were specialist detectives from different units in the police at one stage, and some of the others were prosecutors, and we have our own forensic team, etc. And what we basically do is that either from the actual incident.
We seem to have lost Ian. Ian, please just quickly reconnect.
Very interesting, Jacques.
Yeah, it's funny that he just got cut off. I hope it's just a connection problem or connectivity problem or issue.
Yeah, we don't want to get too
kinetic. No. Well, I have to tell you something. I mean, the stuff that Ian just mentioned, I actually had no idea that, he was, that those were the things that he was actually busy with. I thought Action Society was just, like just a community reaction unit type of thing, but yeah, it's quite a big organization, and they they take it from A to Z. They go through the whole process. So yeah, that's quite impressive. I hope. Yeah, sure.
It just popped in my mind. If you ask Shafiek about the Quran, I think you know it by now. I'm a fully fledged Christian. I'm a son of God. But I like to read. I like to understand because, you got to know the world. And I read the Quran, as Shafiek will tell you. And I was blessed by having the Quran given to me in English by an old friend from, funny enough, from Palestine. And in the Quran it says, but as a Christian, I found it so beautiful. Reading it in another religion. Shafiek knows because Shafiek is Muslim. In the Quran it says, if every neighbor looked after his neighbor, no one would need help. If as elke buurman gekyk het na sy buurman, het niemand hulp nodig gehad nie. But we've come into a society where people don't want, Ian, I don't know if you agree, and we need to catch up, but I don't know if people know it. I was for 3 years, for 15 years I was in SA Rugby. And for 3 years I was in the management of the Springbok under 21 rugby team. And in the second year we managed that team. We won the World Cup in Argentina, in a little town called Mendoza. But it wasn't difficult because look at the team we had. We had half the future Springbok team. And managing a team like that, winning a World Cup, very few people have that gold medal. And the minute we won, we beat Australia. I think that the Australian team, this was in 2005. I think some of them are still there, Jacques, trying to get home. Want ons het hulle tik gemoer. And we brought the World Cup back to this country. But did you know South Africa's got its own haka, Ian? I don't know if you know it. We have our own haka. I never knew it. You know, when I found out South Africa has a haka, is when I started the CRU unit and we needed donations. And immediately when you went to Jan van Blerk and you said to him, Jan, ons het so R1000 nodig vir petrol vir ons bakkies en ons trokke. Then he would go like this. Yes, Boerman. Jy dink nou net, jy gaan my glo nou net my wallet in die kar gelos. Yeah, that's the South African haka. You cannot get money. Ian, I don't know if you've experienced the same difficulty of getting donations and getting in people to fund you and saying to people, if you don't want to put on the bulletproof, then at least give us money. At least donate money for radios and torches and stun grenades and anyway, all that stuff that you put on your vest and good as well. CRU had that. But yeah, don't you also find that a problem? Is funding, is getting civilian, because we're not funded by state. Even the political party that I lead, we are not funded by anybody. We are not captured by anybody. We are plain normal people like an Ian that got gutful and a year ago decided we are going to stand for government. And boom, I am now a councillor in the city of Cape Town. I am now sitting on the portfolio committee of safety and security, which heads up law enforcement and metro police in the city of Cape Town. That's what I do for a job today. So even there, Ian, Jacques, Shafiek, even in city, Cape Town, where we sit as a committee to give budget, to give finance to law enforcement and metro police, which I'm part of, we struggle to get budget. We struggle to get budget together so that council can clear it, so that we can put cameras in Mitchell's Plain and Khayelitsha and Luande. Just budget. Now that the SAPs have collapsed, Ian, it's collapsed. No matter how we're trying to defend the few good, I'm sorry, let's make a general statement. I'm saying it's collapsed. They're outnumbered, they're tired, they can't fight. Did you know that if law enforcement and metro police in Cape Town withdraw today off the street, this province is in chaos. The city is gone. It's gone. But I want to give you good news before I step off and hand over. Jan, this year, this committee, under the auspices of Alderman J.P. Smith and our chairman, we got double the budget. We got double the budget approved. It's the biggest approval of extra budget in safety and security in years. And you can physically see it. You are now seeing the rollout of the LEAP program. You are seeing now more police officers coming onto the ground, more and more officers. The City of Cape Town's Police Academy is now open. Again, we are bringing in students. So, Jacques, it's not all doom and gloom in the fight for law enforcement, in the fight. And, Ian, I'd like to work more with you. Now that you know I'm also a councillor, I'd like to sit with you more. I'd like to understand more. Because now it is my civil duty, by the way, elected. Jacques, I was elected.
Yes.
I'm making sure other people say, no, I said I've got dockets on certain people, so if they don't elect me. You know the bad thing of being an ex-spy? I never got the Aston Martin. I didn't get a Russian, and I never ever got a watch that exploded. Someone cheated me, okay? Iemand het vir my verskriklik gecheat uit my werk uit. But anyway, Ian, yeah, that's my feeling, Jacques. We've got to take out more money, and the people of South Africa must now decide government has failed, and they've got to get up and they've got to start taking care of themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the police have collapsed. Obviously, we all know there are good people in the police still trying their best with limited resources, but that's like saying, at least we have electricity now and then. It doesn't solve the load shedding problem. So it's exactly the same principle. And just today, I was in Guguletu, and then after that, I was in Manenberg, and it's just lists and lists and lists of cases that go unsolved, undetected, investigations that are not done properly. And what we basically then do is that if the victim approaches us, or if the victim didn't survive, the family of the victim approaches us, we then get mandated by them to oversee the process. We only work in areas where people can't afford private help for logical reasons, sorry. And yeah, we then oversee that process, and basically make sure that that link between the investigating officer and the prosecution is done properly, and that prosecutor, if the prosecutor needs any kind of assistance, any kind of support, any shortage of resources, etc., we try and fill that gap. And I know people are going to say, but we pay tax, etc., etc., but we can't just sit back and watch things fall apart completely. The good thing is as well that the more we do this in certain areas, the better the relationship with certain members of the law enforcement fraternity. And it then makes it much easier to streamline the process and to assist where we can. And as you correctly said, funding is always a challenge, and you can never help everyone. I mean, ideally, we would love to take every single case, but we don't have the capacity, at least, to do that now. And it is a challenge, but I think the great thing, and our police minister did us a big favor in that regard. He just proved exactly why we say communities need to play a bigger part in ensuring their own safety. And from what I've experienced, by far the largest amount, or the largest percentage of neighborhood watch and community policing forum members, anyone that somehow works in the community, are good people. They are usually law-abiding people, and I know here and there we have challenges with people, beating someone up, etc. But I must also say, and it's not like I'm condoning it, but I really do understand the frustration on ground level. The Kailicha Commission report showed us that almost, I think it was about a third almost a third of murders committed in that whole area are because of vigilante justice. And that happens because of frustration. It happens because we don't see convictions. It happens because, one of the cases I mentioned to the minister that day was a case that we're working on close to Paul, where a lady was brutally murdered. She was really, really badly hurt. But the point is that the guy that did it to her got bail the previous week or 2 weeks before, after he beat her into hospital. So why did he get bail after he did that to her? If he didn't get bail, there would have been a possibility that Sipukazi would still be alive. So yeah, our main focus is gender-based violence. I think the point of it is that all the elements of crime are the same. So if it does develop to a point where you can start working on other types of criminal activity, then you can do that. But for now, our main focus is that. And fortunately and unfortunately, it's very sad to see the amount of cases that we're getting where kids got hurt badly. But at the same time, I'm glad that at least there is a body that can assist to try and get some kind of justice for those children.
Ian, can I ask a question? What is the relationship like between Action Society and SAPS? Do they see you as being intrusive, or do you guys support one another? Have they welcomed you? What is the relationship like?
It's pretty good on ground level. Obviously, on national level, after what you saw the last few weeks, it's not that great.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a fear as well on ground level from some of the members to be seen with me, but I must say not with the rest of the members. It's very funny because you work in some areas and members literally stop you next to the road. I was in Cape Town in the CBD the other day, and next moment this van pulls up, and I'm like, oh yeah, not again. And I thought we're going to have a repeat of a few weeks ago. And they said, no, they just wanted to take a selfie, but they won't publish it. And they took a selfie in uniform quickly and then moved on again. So the majority of cops were incredibly, incredibly positive after what happened. And in terms of the work we do and our team of detectives, they receive it in a very, very positive light. We also don't try and interfere. We really want to make them know, especially in areas where it's going tough. We really want to let them know that we are there to support. I mean, many of the detectives that we work with have I spoke to one the other day that had over 400 dockets on her table. It's human. It's impossible for any human to focus on that amount of cases. And therefore we need to build bodies that can assist. But Neil and everyone, I've read some of the comments and so on. The police is a disaster. It's completely broken. I don't think people realize how broken it really is. Today, we were presenting basic crime scene management to some of the Neighborhood Watch and Community Policing Forum members in Gugulethu, and when I walked outside, it was so shocking. It was at the detective branch there. It was so sad to see how dirty it is outside, that some of the members don't even have the self-respect to just put their litter in a dustbin. Basic little things. And that is very frustrating to see, because it's one thing not to have resources, but it's another when you don't even respect yourself enough to just look after your surroundings.
Why do you think that is? I mean, why do you think? Do you think people have just given up? Do you think is it frustration? Is it? Do you think? Yeah.
It's a very important question. I think there's several reasons. I think firstly there are bad people in the police, and there are bad people out there, and we need to know that. We try and sugarcoat it sometimes that all people have some good in them, and maybe I'm just a cynical person. If it is that way, then so be it. But I honestly think you get some people that are just bad. They do bad things and they hurt innocent people. And so in terms of the police, we must remember the damage that the current minister did to the police when he was the national commissioner. Remember that when he was the national commissioner, he pushed through the appointment of thousands of members before the FIFA World Cup. And many of those members didn't go through the correct vetting process, not only psychologically, but otherwise as well. And also many of them failed their remedials. And they still received uniforms. So we literally have members that weren't meant to receive uniforms, that had to have their contracts ended with the police, but it carried on, or their contract carried on, because we needed members for the South African Police Service during the FIFA World Cup. And if we consider that, and you think of something like the reservists, I mean, we had just under 70,000 reservists around 2012, 2013. We've got less than 3,000 left that can actually work outside. I mean, there aren't enough vehicles, firearms, ammunition, and whatever else. And many of the reservists go to stations and they want to work, and they're told, sorry, we don't have, there's no training for people that want to become reservists, or we just don't have the resources to support the current reservists. So it makes it a major challenge. I can tell you one thing, and this is where I'm a very open supporter to the idea of having some kind of devolution, at least to try in the Western Cape, is I worked in Limpopo for a year, in northern parts of Limpopo. If we think parts of places like Gugulethu or Khalicha are lawless, if you go to parts of the northern parts of Limpopo, there's absolutely no law enforcement whatsoever. There's no control. There's no decent authority. And I honestly think that it's time that people, those that tick the wrong box and they choose someone like the ANC, should bear the brunt of that. I think it's so unfair that the people, first of all, paying tax, and others that oppose the way that, for example, the ANC governs, need to bear the brunt because of someone else's bad decisions.
So obviously, I mean, this is going to take time to change, if ever. I mean, we still have to wait another 2 years before the elections. Let's say these things are going to remain the way they are. What are we to do to make sure that we look after ourselves and our families and our communities? What are the solutions? Because obviously, this is a problem that's not going to go away until the root of the problem gets removed, hopefully in 2024. So what are we going to do? What can we do? Obviously, I mean, we're not going to fix the police in 2 years. What is the solution? How can we make sure that we are safe and that we protect it?
Yeah, I think it's a double strategy. Look, on the one side, it's crucial that people take part in for example, political remedies, whether local or national. It's obviously plays a massive role, as you guys would know. But I think it's a double strategy that needs to be followed. So on the one side, you exhaust political remedies, you approach courts of law, you try and keep people legally accountable. You try and make sure that they fulfill their, for example, constitutional mandates, like the Minister of Police or whoever else, and it's important to follow that route. But at the same time, and with the same enthusiasm, if not even more, it's important to mobilize communities, to make sure that communities are trained properly, that they know what to do when they arrive on a crime scene. You know, I was shocked this morning again by the severe violence, and I mean, you hear it every day, but I was just shocked to see again, you know, how severe the violence is that some of these community members are exposed to on a daily basis, and they really don't know what they are meant to do in that type of situation. So they obviously are enthusiastic and so on, but often because of that enthusiasm, they end up trampling a crime scene, or they destroy evidence because it wasn't cordoned off properly, whatever the case may be. So all of those things play a major role. The point I'm trying to make is that there must be some kind of a community involvement, and we need to take ownership of what goes on around us. And one example, you know, I saw, and this is specifically in terms of parts of Lente here in Mitchells Plain. I've never experienced it quite like that in any other place I've ever been in the country. But the one morning I spent some time with one of the neighborhood watchers there, and we were walking, and the sun was just coming up. And while we were walking, and this is where the neighbor example, Neil, that you guys mentioned just now, comes in so strongly. While we were walking, there were probably about 6, 7, if not 8 ladies, each washing the sidewalk in front of their house. And they were literally washing it with hot water and soap with a broom. And the demonstration, or rather the symbolic value of that to me, was that, you know, if you've got all the neighbors in one street cleaning the sidewalk in front of his or her house, you end up having an entire clean street. And it sends a strong message to criminals, it sends a strong message to people who want to litter, and so on and so forth. And remember that what I've seen, and I want to use an example in White River in Mpumalanga a few years ago, we had a case where a certain political party were threatening to occupy a piece of land. And we just said, well, if the police aren't going to act, we are going to mobilize the other part of the community to counter this. And farmers, taxi association members, you name it, all got together, and they waited for the 3 buses that were on their way from a different area. I think they were on their way from Bushbuck Ridge, and they waited for them there. And the chairperson of that specific party got off the bus, and he saw what was waiting there, and he got back on the bus, and they left. And so the point is, a well-organized community usually prevents political crime or political violence as well. So yeah, I tried to summarize it as much as possible now, but I think that's the sort of, you know, remedies that we have to our disposal.
Yeah, well, look what happened in KZN. Obviously, things went a bit too far there, but I mean, when all that chaos happened in Durban last year, it wasn't the army or the police that, you know, that solved that problem. It was the people, the communities. Obviously, I mean, things got a bit out of hand, but I mean, those people showed what could happen if they actually, you know, if they just stuck together and if they actually did something about the problem. Because I mean, at the end of the day, they protected themselves and they protected their own businesses. No one helped them. like I said, we don't condone violence. We don't condone, things getting out of control. But that was also an example of people just don't realize the power that they have. People, us as normal citizens, we actually have more power than we know. And people, if we can just stick together and work together, you know what? There's a lot of things that we can sort out and solve. And I think crime is definitely one of them. Neil, what's your, can I have some comments from your side as well? What do you think is the solution from now until 2024? Hopefully in 2024 things change, but what are we to do while we are waiting for a new government, hopefully?
I'm known in this country now after 2 years of politics as being the most unpolitical and the most non-political sensitive person. And they know me, ek praat nie nonsens nie. Ek sal sommer vir jou reguit sê jou moer. So let me quickly tell you, Ian, I'm not going to mince words. I'm the guy that went to Brackenfell. And I'm the guy that didn't wait for a certain political party. I waited for the EFF to come. And I went on TV and I said, jy moet nou kom, Frikkie Malema. Frikkie, I said to Frikkie, jy moet nou kom. Because if you want to come to Brackenfell School, I'm here. And there's a couple of us here. He didn't come. Then he got annoyed because he heard I was there. And he sent another 6 buses the second time and toed near Kosville. But not us, the police. I said to the police, hey, funny enough, they left. Frikkie Julius Malema didn't come back, Ian. Because what you did in that area by not showing violence, by not showing force, by not pulling out grenades and guns, by standing together. That's the most unbelievable power that a human being can have, is unity. And I think that's what you did up there, I think, in that area. We did the same in Brackenfell. And it wasn't white. It was white, it was colored, it was Indian, it was black. We all stood together. I think the political landscape, Jacques, is petrified for the day that the Republic of South Africa unites. I think they fear that more than a gun, than a cabal, than a revolution. They fear that black, white, Indian, colored, Chinese, whatever you want to call us, I call us South Africans. I think they're scared the day that 100,000 of us get together. I think they're scared when 1 million of us get together. The problem, Jacques, is that let's go back to reality. Ne? Now I'm talking politics. Because what Ian actually said in one sentence was, if we could get a group together that is politics, if we could get a group together that is judiciary, if we could get a group together that is law enforcement in all practical formats, and if we could get together as a community, you could turn this thing around. But it will take 60 million people. If not, here's my prediction for 2024. We are either going to go, including me, which I have openly invited, for a coalition multi-party government. There's no other way. The DA has declared themselves in an internal discussion, you know, those leaked ones, of Helen Zille, where the DA admitted that they are a 20% capped party. They're a 20% capped party. Now let's take that as reality. We've got to push the ANC out of 50 plus 1. We have no choice. Ian, you will agree. And I'm not talking politics now. I'm talking about reality. I'm talking about saving the government. We cannot allow the ANC or its cabal or a possible joint union to take more than 50% in 2024. The only way we're going to do that is if leaders of political parties like me bend the knee, give the country back to God, and make sure that we enforce the Constitution the principles of our God, and protect this constitution with everything, Jacques, that we've got. You being an attorney, a person of law, you know that the only thing keeping us still alive in this country, Ian, Shafiek, is the law. But it is as if we are run by courts. I don't know if you've noticed. It's as if every single time that we want an effective government, we are in court. We don't like what the minister does, or the minister doesn't do what he does, we go to court. The president doesn't want to do it, we go to court. I mean, Jacques, we are facing now another battle with the president. We wrote a letter to the presidency demanding a national referendum, because we believe currently that the country will support us by saying that the majority people in this republic do not agree by supporting the current government. We need a referendum. He has not even had the courtesy to give us a reply to say acknowledged. Hy gaan bars. Ons gaan hom vat, and if need be, we'll take him to court, but then we're back in court again. So, Jacques, multi-party government with a multiple part of small parties and big parties to take on this government in the election. I fear that by 2024, in 2 years from now, the digression of Eskom, the digression of the police, the digression of state, we currently don't have a defense force anymore. Ons het nie 'n nasionale weermag nie. I mean, we were standing at a point at 75,000 members. We then rose to 95,000. I don't believe that we are there. It's a mockery when you send people with G6 cannons into Durban. What are you going to do when a guy runs away with a Yamaha television? Hit him with a G5 cannon over 45 kilometers. Of wat gaan jy nou doen? Maar wragtig, hulle stuur G5 uit. They send out these ratels. A ratel with a 90mm gun. But we know that they sealed the tidbit so that they couldn't put in armament, just in case one of the soldiers gets a little bit high and decides that he is going to take a pot shot at a guy running around with a telephone gun. This is ridiculous. You can ask Ian. I don't know if Ian was deployed in those areas when they deployed the defense force into Khayelitsha and into Langa. Ian, there was no effectivity from those guys. The army helped nothing. So it's a bleak future. The looting is continuing. We have now the Zondo Commission. I think we are in month 2 of the full report being released. No arrests. 1.3 billion. We have now the Minister of Energy saying that we must create a second Eskom. Ian says, yeah, it's okay. It's like saying we have electricity some of the time. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. Our hospitals are breaking. Government hospitals are in a disarray. I think, Shafiek, we can agree when you go to Mitchell's Plain, when you go into Khayelitsha, when you go into Langa, the clinics and the hospitals, when you go to Baragwanas on a Friday night, it looks like South Sudan. It looks like Sierra Leone. It's slaughterhouses. When you can get guys that walk into a hospital and just shoot people dead. What have we become? And finally, Jacques, a country that does not protect its women and children, I think should be stripped of its United Nations capacity as a recognized country. We cannot continue killing our women and children like we are. Again, Cyril Ramaphosa, 2 years, stood on the statue of Smuts under duress. I was there, having to face more than 2,000 women. And he stood on that statue and he promised no tolerance on gender-based violence. He promised that. He failed. And finally, if you can't even clean your own house, as Ian says, how do you start to clean a street? So, Jacques, my end result of this is that we will fight. The United Independent Movement is going in. I will no matter how successful or not, I will be standing as a presidential candidate in 2024. And I'm doing it not because we have the most utmost reality that I will become such, but I will go into Parliament. I will tell you, Ian, one voice sometimes makes a difference. Your voice undoubtedly has made a difference. And you one man. So I'll conclude by saying, never underestimate those people that are downtrodden. Never underestimate those people that are being sacrificed. One of my favorite historians, Napoleon Bonaparte, said, the day that you suppress those people that liberated you before, soon you might be fighting those same liberators for your liberty as well. History is written by the victor. But what he also said was, when the poor become the majority, the pitchforks come to the Bastille. The poor in this country are currently hungry. And as you said, Ian, in conclusion from my side, Jacques, if you look at the people that we look at today in Khayelitsha, Langa, Nyanga, Mitchells Plain, Philippi, Delft, Atlantis, I can go on, Shafiek. Are you really going to fight the poor? There's no doubt in Durban, Ian, for 24 hours in this country, there was loss of control of that province. There was no control. What happens if that happens in 9 provinces in this country? I'll leave you with that question. Jacques.
Thanks, Neil. Yeah, I think some of the more important things that we can take out of tonight's discussion is, I think, number one, people need to take responsibility for their own safety and security. People need to be alert. People need to look after their immediate family. They need to look after their neighbors. And this should be done by every single citizen in this country, because we can't rely on other people to help us. The police are overworked. They are outnumbered. We need to lighten the load on them as well. Unfortunately, as Ian said, things have happened in the past that have put the police in the state that they are. We want to just once again say tonight that we are not saying that all policemen are bad and incompetent. That's not the case. We have met tremendous police officers in the past, especially when we were doing the, when we were going out with those CRU units. The police that went out with us were amazing people. So there's competent people out there. I just think there are very few. So we as citizens of this country, we need to stand together. We need to unite. We need to take responsibility for our own, like I said, safety and security. And this must continue at community level, and we must support organizations that do great work on our behalf, like Ian's organization. Yes.
Sorry, Jacques, I need to retire. I'm being called that I need to retire, but yeah, I'm still recovering out of hospital, and next week, Wednesday, I'm back under the knife. But I'm burning, if I may, just quickly to ask Ian 2 questions. Ian, and maybe, Ian, before I go, this is not an interview. This is just a discussion with a group of great people. So I was hoping maybe you would ask us some questions as well. Everybody's asking Ian Cameron questions. Me and you share enough on Twitter. Ek het al weer gelooi op Twitter vandag. So, but I wanted to, I'm burning, sorry, Shafiek, to ask Ian just 2 questions before I go, because I minuted it and I said if I see Ian, and Ian, I look forward to the coffee in person. After I've recovered, I'd like to host you and have a chat with you. But one, was there any response from Becky Taylor to you in person?
No, none whatsoever. Well, the only thing was that he said in a press conference on the Friday after the incident that we could have handled it differently, and I just said he might feel that way about himself, but I certainly wouldn't have done anything differently. I stand by every single thing that I said and did. Yeah, I just honestly think there's no reason to back down to these guys. I think they're thugs and they need to be removed.
So he's never tried to contact you?
No, never. We've actually made several attempts to get him into a discussion, even when he was still national commissioner. But he is not the kind of person that likes to, I think, have an open discussion. And I think he's scared of being exposed, and that's why he reacted the way that he did with me and Gugulethu.
I don't know if you saw my follow-up video on your TV program.
Yes, I did.
Where I told him to shut up. No, I just wanted to know. I was very interested because what I wanted you to do is, if he sets up a meeting, agree to the meeting, and on the day don't pitch up. Joke. Number 2, Ian. Just for interest's sake, because there's more than 1,000 people that are seeing us and will see us afterwards. How do we help? How do we get your unit, how do we get your investigative team? Because, we try to open our own mini SIU. We try to get retired police. We try to be, and sorry, the guy that was going to lead it just dismally failed in it, and we couldn't get it going. But I love what you are doing. I absolutely believe that can work. How do we, as the UIM, because remember the UIM, we had to form a political party to have a voice in power. Can I put it that bluntly? We had no choice but to go to politics. But we don't change our viewpoint. We're still straight talking. We still carry your heart. How do we help? Sorry, Jacques.
No, the main thing for us is at the moment, at least, is to visit. You can visit our website and see how you can
give it to us.
Make it's just actionsociety.co.za, and it's important for us that if people if people do want to become members, we obviously encourage them to do that, because we rely on their membership funds to do what we do. At any given time, around Cape Town at least, we've got between 35 and 55 active cases. I think we have just over 40 right now, but that obviously varies constantly. And then we've got a few in the northern parts of the country as well. But we didn't actually officially open there yet in terms of this model that we started in December of 2021. Nevertheless, people can visit our website, www.actionsociety.co.za, and I encourage them to join us.
Yeah, Jacques. What we'll do, Ian, is we'll post it on all our social media as well, so that we can give you that. And is there a contact, not number, but is there a contact email address for yourself?
Yes, they can somehow use community safety at actionsociety.co.za. It's the easiest one, and then we'll make sure that either myself or someone from the team responds. I usually respond on that, but it's just to make sure I don't miss something.
Now, Jacques, sorry, I'm not helping the interview, but I need to go. Ian, any questions for me? Any questions?
No, just thank you. It's great to have chatted with you. I want to say sorry to Melissa. She really struggled to get hold of me the last 2-3 weeks. My wife even struggled to get hold of me the last 2-3 weeks. It wasn't deliberate. I'm usually quite accessible, but this thing made quite a storm, and it made it quite challenging to respond quickly enough to everyone. But I think the dust is settling, and yes, I hope we can meet sometime.
If you want a 1962 Chevrolet chassis, you ask Melissa.
I'll discuss that with her.
Guys, thank you. Jacques, I have to take my leave. I've extended my welcome and my stay. Ian, what a great opportunity and a privilege to see you. Anyway, Jacques, I think he's clocked out there. Jacques, anything you want to ask me? Anything, Shafiek? You've been patient. Enige laaste
Shafiq,
vraag?
go ahead.
Okay, now like we see all our viewers we have online live with us. If each one of them can go to their local police station and inquire about the Community in Blue program and sign up, we'll have more members on the ground help assisting SAPS to reduce the crime rate, man. So if everybody can just give that little bit, you don't have to do it every weekend. Maybe 1 week, one night a week, or one afternoon a week, you're free. No, it will help with the crime, man. We need to get more people actively involved with SAPS and law enforcement. Like we have the auxiliary program, sign up for it. SAPS reservist program, sign up for it. Get your training. At the end of the day, you are helping the next person. So if each one can do something, I see 662 people. If each one of them go to their local police station and sign up, that's 662 extra people on beat. It's a start. So let's all UIM members, supporters, our followers sign up and try and make a difference, make a better South Africa.
Wise words.
That's it.
Jacques, thank you very much. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. It's good to have come back. I think, yeah, it's good to be back. It's good to see you guys. Ek gaan nou met 'n hart gaan ek nou 'n bietjie terug weer waar ons was en vir almal wat gekyk het vanaand. Ek is baie lief vir julle. I love you all. Thank you for carrying me. As I said, next week Wednesday, last operation, last of the last, so that I can get back into the chair. It's my last council meeting. I'm not attending, so next council meeting, be ready. I've got a lot of questions, I've got a lot of stuff to say to the city. But Jacques, I love you, Shafiq, shukran, and thanks for everything, dude.
Thanks a lot, Neil, and thanks for joining. It's good to have you back.
Interesting discussion tonight. What a absolute great privilege to have Ian on board and also speaking to him. I think we should get more of those type of people on.
Yeah, I just want to apologize to everybody tonight because there's a bunch of people that said that they were going to join. I think in particular Jacques did a lot of research on this subject, and he was supposed to also join tonight's discussion, but we had so much to say, it was just impossible to give him a chance as well. And there's a whole bunch of people that wanted to join tonight's session as well and add their comments. So I just want to apologize to them. I think we must definitely do a chapter 2 on this subject and then hear what the public has to say as well, because I think that's really, really important. I think maybe the next live we do next week, Wednesday, let's carry on with this subject because it's quite a serious topic, and then invite the public to also comment and give us their views. So please, guys, join next week, Wednesday. I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to speak. The floor will be yours. So please remember your questions that you had tonight and your comments, write them down. We will be discussing this topic again next week, Wednesday, and we would love to hear from you guys. So that's all from my side. So Neil, Shafiq, thank you so much for joining. Neil, it's great to have you back. Ons kom nou agter hoe baie ons jou gemis het, because the lives are just not the same without you. So please get well so that we can have you back in full force. Shafiq, thanks for all the great work that you do. I want to thank Ian. Ian, thank you for the awesome work that you do. It was a privilege to meet you tonight. I hope to meet you in person. We will support you if we can, as much as we can. You are doing great work. Thank you so much. And Melissa, thank you for getting in touch with Ian and making it possible for us to speak to Ian tonight. So that's all from my side, guys. Thanks a lot.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks.
Salam alaikum.
Everybody.
Bye, guys. See you next week, Wednesday.
Bye-bye.